Welcome to Black Owned Spotlight. I'm your host, Darnell Beckford. Welcome to Season 2. I want to thank everybody for nothing but your love and support. If you haven't checked out Season 1, check out Season 1. And I want to thank all the businesses for showing us nothing but love and support. You know what it is? Roll the highlights. Welcome to another episode of Black Owned Spotlight. I'm here with Jay, the CEO of Urban Products and Consultants. How you doing today, sir?
Pleasure. I appreciate you having me. You know what I'm saying? Happy to be here.
Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity and your time today. So how did you come up with the name for your business, and how long you guys been in business for?
So Urban started in 2021. Myself, my business partners T. Lee and Sam Gibbs. Really, we were literally just sitting around a table, spitballing ideas, just as far as like anybody else, any other group of forward-thinking people out here trying to make some money, but also be impactful. Because one of the few things that our core values was, it really wasn't about the money. Whatever we were going to do, and that was going to help us make money. The fact that we were going to be passionate about it and not be just money hungry. But we were just sitting around thinking, obviously. Cannabis is a polarizing entity in this country already, but as far as the three of us, it was something that we were already making money in by way of CBD and everything else. We already knew growers. We already had a multitude of resources and knowledge to apply toward cannabis. So, all right, boom, we're gonna start a cannabis company. Cool, we'll start a health company. All right, boom. What's the name? I don't know. I mean, shit, we gotta keep this shit, you know what I mean? We're gonna be ourselves, you know what I mean? So we're gonna keep this shit urban. Boom, we lit. And that's it. So Urban. And from there, obviously, so I wanted to just name it Urban, because I just think that shit sound cool. And if you look into like these big companies like Apple and Microsoft and all that, whatever, they've kind of branded simplicity and sleekness all the way down to their logo concepts and to their name design. So like I was on that early. So with our logo is very simple, but it's to the point. But I wanted to do the same thing with the name. But my business partner, she was very astutely reminded me, with something like this, you put the products and consulting on there to let people know what it is that we're also offering. Like, because it is gonna be products, but more than that, it's information, and we are at your service. So Urban Products and Consulting it is.
That's pretty dope. That's actually pretty good name and a good meaning behind it, because a lot of people wouldn't think about something like that and the meaning behind it. They probably just see the name and not know the meaning behind the name.
Yeah.
So that's pretty dope. So a question I always want to ask. So seeing that, like you said, the cannabis industry is such a big industry now, how do you guys differentiate yourselves from other cannabis companies out there?
All right. So the way we set ourselves apart from, especially in this state, right? So we'll go macro first. In this country, if you are in a state that has recreational cannabis, you can go to a dispensary, you can buy any cannabinoid, but mostly a multitude of psychoactive products, right? The colloquial weed, as we know and love, right? You can go there and you can get everything you need, and it doesn't necessarily have to be health focused, right? However, in this state, we don't have recreational cannabis. And especially when we started Urban and when I got into CBD in this state about 7 years ago now, 7 years ago. God, time flies. Especially in this state, we don't have recreational cannabis. And 6-7 years ago, we didn't have Delta 8, we didn't have THCA, right? We didn't have these different loophole cannabinoids that we've come up with, right? We had CBD, right? We had CBD, and then from there we had CBG and stuff like that. But it was all healthcare. It was all health based, right? Because in this state, if you own a cannabis company, essentially you own a health company. And so what separates us from everyone else is, especially in our genesis, we were heavy on education. Heavy on education. That's what separated us. We weren't pushing products per se. Like it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't about money. The products get you money, right? If you sell products, you get money. That's simple math, right? Tried and true. But what's also tried and true on the other side of that, and any good hustler understands this, the more you know about your product and the more that you're able to articulate to the people about your product, and the more factual, credible information you're able to give people about a product, it invites them to spend money with you easier than it would if I'm just here saying, oh, here you go, here's some stuff to get you high, and yeah, give me some money. You feel me?
Yeah.
So that's what immediately separated us, and people gravitated toward us instantly just off of that, off the notion of we weren't trying to sell you anything. Anything that you purchased was just off of like, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that makes me feel better than, because the money's going to come. I had a fervent understanding of that. The money's going to come. How you go about getting the money is going to determine your staying power.
Right.
Right. And being keenly aware of that separates us, because there's more there. I will plainly say it, there are companies in this city that have more resources than us, more money than us, more reach than us, right? But there's only one Urban. You feel me? You can't do it like us. And believe it or not, I've trailblazed a lot in this city for those bigger companies to exist in the way that they are now, as far as marketing their product, the way they try to put products in people's faces, going out touching the people. I've influenced a lot of these, especially in this city, in this state. We've influenced a lot, and I'm proud of that.
That's dope. That's dope. Now, in terms of the cannabis industry, what would you say is the most challenging part of being in the cannabis industry, and what's the most rewarding about being in the cannabis industry?
Recently, for me, the most challenging part. So I can go positive. I can go positive and negative with all of that, right? More positively, the challenge has been keeping up with demand, which is a good thing. You know what I mean? But it is a challenge, constantly innovating, because like I said, whether I like it or not, I'm influencing people. Whether they give me credit or not, I'm influencing people, and I'm seeing my methods being employed in my face, right? So when that happens, either you can keep doing the same thing and complain about people doing what you're doing, or if you are indeed the innovator, you say nothing and just continue to innovate, right? So that's a challenge in itself. Just continuing to innovate in an industry and in a city and state where you can only do but so much, right? So you got to make sure you're innovating in the right way, right? A negative challenge that's been associated with the industry, obviously, is the stigma. We are in the South, right. You know what I mean? More specifically, the Bible Belt, and all of the misconceptions and preconceptions that come with some people, the average mind of the South, dissenting opinions, or a popular colloquialism is just haters. That's always a challenge, but none of that is insurmountable, and none of that really and none of that is never to the extent where it makes me deviate from the goal and the purpose of what it is that we're doing. Right. So you said the challenges, and then what'd you say?
The other one would be, what's the most rewarding?
So the rewards. So that's I guess what makes it worth it. Like, because there's an innumerable list of rewards that I've gotten from this. I'll say I'm very proud of the demographic of my clients. I have clients, obviously all over 21, but I have clients that are right at that spectrum, all the way to, senior citizens, to paraplegics, to people who are disabled in different ways, to fully able-bodied people, to athletes, I'm very proud of my demographic, and I'm very proud of the way that they believe in what it is that we're doing, right? That's a reward in itself, to understand that in this world, this day and age, everything's click driven, and how many followers you have and many likes and this and that. And for me, if you have 500,000 followers, but 4 people won't come show up to see you do something.
Right.
What do you really have? If I have 1,000 followers, but 900 of them will come spend $50 with me. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you have 500,000 followers and I have 900 buyers, you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So the reward is just seeing it work and staying true to it in an age where people have a remarkably short attention span for things in general, right? Yeah. They ingest most of their programming these days in clips and short segments, and it lends it to people having a short attention span with things to be able to capture and hold people's attention for years. To me, understanding the climate that I live in is a reward in itself, for sure.
Definitely. Now, another question I also want to ask is, seeing that you've been in the industry for a very long time, who was your professional mentor in this industry?
So, I have an interesting relationship with the word mentor as an adult.
Yeah.
Like as a melanated man, I do just, and this may be a little toxic of me, where it's just like, you know, at some point in time, even though at some point in time you can't latch yourself onto someone, and that's a whole different conversation. But I know what you're asking me,
yeah.
And I have an answer for that, obviously, and I want to give this man his respect, right? And his name is Aaron Puryear. He owns Oak City Hemp. We were talking about this before I got on the camera.
Yeah.
But the reason I said all that was because he wasn't my mentor. I was about to explain that as a man, it has to be on you to decide that you want to acquire information. You can't put it on someone else to say, can you be my mentor, right? That's not to say you can't go learn and soak up everything from someone, but it's not their responsibility to intentionally mentor you. You have to be a sponge. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't necessarily take someone else being your mentor. And the person that I was a sponge to was Aaron. Like Aaron, I paid attention. Like he didn't explicitly say, I'm teaching you anything. He didn't say that, never came up. It was just, I interviewed him on my platform. He sat where I'm sitting. And I was like I said, I smoke a hell of weed, but I was intrigued, like just by the other side of the industry, right? Because like I said, we in Charlotte, so in North Carolina. At this point in time, 6-7 years ago, like I said, it's just CBD. So if I want to get into the industry, I got to get into it from that aspect. And if I'm gonna get into it from that aspect, I got to learn, I got to grow, I have to. And he's doing it. He's growing the shit. He's selling the shit. He's got a company. He's touching the people at these different events and functions and all that, where he grew to do that. And so I was right there with him. You know what I mean? I basically stopped doing media to jump 10 toes into cannabis because of him. And the influence that he had on me in that way. So that's absolutely who I was a sponge to. That's absolutely someone that, and if you're in the Raleigh area, the Pittsboro, North Carolina area, definitely go check out Oak City Hemp. They have we have the best products. I mean, really do. I say we, because I'm still a part of that Oak City family. So it's like, we got the best products. Top-notch hemp. Our THCA is fire. And it really is all the things that I was talking about as far as from an education standpoint. You're going to get that there as well. Otherwise, I wouldn't even plug it, you know what I mean? If I didn't feel good about it, like that right there, Oak City Hemp, Aaron, they're doing cannabis the right way, for sure.
Appreciate it. Now, in terms of like personality trait and successful, what does it take for somebody that wants to be in the cannabis industry to know what they get into?
All right, so my personality is being exposed on this interview. Because the way that my brain works to answer these questions, I will not tell you a lie, right? Mm-hmm. Most of the people, 95% of the people that I encounter, and that's an accurate number because it's for me, like it's my personal, it's 95% of these people who see me out at work and ask me, oh, I want to be in the cannabis industry. They're not serious, right? They just want to sell weed, or they just want to be, or they think it's fun. Like they just want to, be around places where they're selling weed and smoking weed and having fun and goofing off, and the mind, like the whole thought process going into it isn't right. There's either that or there's the money hungry, like, oh, I'm gonna get into that. It's booming. It's a booming. But you don't know what you're doing, right? So number one, I would say if you want to be in the cannabis industry, you need to come into the cannabis industry in a capacity to learn. You need to come into the cannabis industry with a fervent understanding that you have 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth for a very distinct reason. You're supposed to listen and observe twice as much as you output into the world, right?
Right.
You need to come into the cannabis industry because, like I said, anybody can give products to anybody, right? But in the way that this industry is set up right now, there are no governing policies for the most part. We have to police ourselves, and that has lended itself to there's a swell of fake products going around, synthesized products going around, synthetic cannabinoids going around, and they're being marketed in this state, right? So you're either going to be part of the problem coming into this, or you're going to be part of writing that shit, right? So if you're not coming in the capacity to learn about actually what it is that you're doing, don't, right? Now, let's say that you have the right mindset or whatever, and I'm not talking to you, right? So let's say I'm not talking to you and you are still interested in being in the cannabis industry. It takes the same thing that it takes for any other entrepreneur. To drive, perseverance, discipline, a real hustle. And I don't mean like a gimmick. I mean, you get up and you put in an 11, 12-hour day because you have to, not because somebody told you to, because that's just what the day warranted, right? And maybe in that day you only did $200 or $100 or no dollars at a festival. And I swear, on everything, my first festival in Raleigh, we did with Urban, we made $0. And we went to that one to make money. And I told my business, I said, that's where we fucked up at right there. We came here thinking we was finna get some money, and we weren't even ready to get no money. Like in hindsight, looking at the table, we weren't even ready to get no money, right? But we were ready to do exactly what we did do that day. Provide so much information to so many people that touched them in a way that, like, we help people. I help people understand and break down cannabis to a way that you can understand it and digest it for real. Like, you got to be willing to put those type of days in where you don't get no money. We drove to Raleigh. It cost us money to be there and all that. We drove, you know what I'm saying, all that. We took an L that day. But that's just like any other entrepreneurial venture. You got to be willing to put those days in, right? And you're not getting rich next week. You're not finna sell this quarter and get rich. You're not finna sell that pound and get rich. It's not gonna happen that way. What are you gonna do to make yourself sustainable? What are you gonna do to make yourself indispensable, right? If you don't have that type of attitude, if you don't have that type of drive, stay out of the way, because you're just gonna be in my way.
Facts. Now, in terms of being an entrepreneur, what does it mean to be a Black entrepreneur at best, being in the industry that you are in right now?
I mean, being melanated in this industry, I'm from the South for real, bro. So when you're from the South, you get to see this country at its best and its worst. People from the South can give you, people in the know in the South can give you a real solid answer and idea what this country's all about. So there's nothing new. There's no new challenges that are presented in the cannabis industry that aren't presented to me in life every day. So this shit regular, bro.
I feel. And one final question I'm gonna ask you,
for sure,
is if you can give a piece of advice to someone who wants to be in the cannabis industry, mm-hmm. what would it be? Mm-hmm. And if you can give a piece of advice to your 18-year-old self, mm-hmm. what would you give, knowing what you know now?
Shit. Knowing what I know now, I'm investing in Bitcoin, nigga. Work out for real. Like, you're a great athlete. Fuck all that. Like, don't be lazy. Like, brother, I mean, but as far as advice to another person, I mean, like I said, if all the other stuff I said to you doesn't apply to you, this literally, some things that people say over and over again, they say over and over again because it's true. Don't give up. Stick to it. know your personnel, right? And that means get the right people around you, like-minded, forward-thinking individuals that will challenge your way of thinking. You're not correct all the time. You know absolutely nothing, right? And if you go into situations like that, being a sponge, you'll be successful. Success comes in different shapes and forms and fashions. You will have your version of success. You will achieve it if you decide that that's what you want to do. Your happiness is going to be a function of your real expectations and what you put out to this shit. So, yeah, that's what I would say. And to younger me, work out, nigga. Man, what? They giving niggas money for everything.
True.
I'd have put hella bets in. If I could go back and tell my 18-year-old, 28-3 is happening. 20 racks on that. We good. What? No, man, don't get me started, boy. 18-year-old, boy, what?
I have a question come from behind the camera.
For sure.
So you said soaking up, being a sponge. Do you, with the years you've been doing this, do you feel like you're successful? And then if you do feel like you're successful, is it because you were soaking up information, or in the beginning was you not listening? When you came into the game, was you focused? Was you soaking up information already? Sorry. So
I will say, objectively, I feel like we have been successful, right? We're not a success story because it's not finished, right? But as far as what we've been able to accomplish with Urban in this 3-year period, I do feel successful, especially based off of all the things that I learned that you were talking about, being a sponge to Aaron, going on these shows, doing shows in Chicago and Orlando, and I was doing pop-up tables by myself out in Romare Beard and just do all of the different things that people have seen me do over the years. The guys on the street with a giant jar of weed, like, yeah, that was me. Like, I mean, before it was cool, like I'm out in Romare Beard Park with 2 pounds in a giant jar, just free smells, yeah, like, you know what I mean? But just to see it go from that to, to where it is now, to where we'll be 3 years from now, 6 months from now, whatever. I feel like it's a success. I've made money. I've touched people. I've educated people. I've gained what do you call it? Like, not a following, but supporters. I've gained organic support from the people, and that is successful.
That's all right. So again, Jay, thank you so much for sitting down with us and discussing your expertise in the industry of cannabis. Is there any promotion that you want to plug in and where they can find you?
Sure. So if you want to get some free cannabinoid resources, educational resources, we have some up on our website, www.stayurban.com, and that's spelled stay and then urban, HERBN, stayurban.com. Like I said, educational resources there. You can learn about the different bioavailability of different cannabinoids and the different lexicon of cannabinoids and stuff like that. If you would like to come interact with me in person, we do pop-ups in NOTA every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's North Carolina, Charlotte, North Carolina. Instagram _urban. If you want to check out Oak City Hemp, it's called Oak City Hemp on everything. I've got an old pod, but a lot of the stuff I used to talk about on there is pretty cool. So you can check that out. Stay Ready Podcast. But yeah, man, that's me. Don't get ready, stay ready. Shop Urban. And I really appreciate you guys for having me. Support this man, his platform. You know what I mean? And yeah, I appreciate you.
Thank you, bro.
For sure.